Good to see all of you. So we are continuing this story of in the book of Shmuel Beis about the rebellion of Avshalom. Avshalom is rebelling against his father, and we're at the stage where Avshalom doesn't really know what he's supposed to do next. He's now taken over the palace. He's had intimate relations with his father's concubines, and there's no turning back. He's going to have to fight till the end now. Until he did that act, he could have maybe turned back, but at this point, there's no turning back. He's going to be stuck fighting until the end. And he is now trying to figure out, what do I do next? And that's where we are, the beginning of chapter 17. And he had gotten this advice about what to do from Achitophel. Achitophel is this advisor, he's the senior advisor. He was advising David HaMelech before the rebellion, and now he's advising Avshalom. Now,
Rabbi,
yes.
just a quick question. Do you want the essays mailed to your email address of the United Jewish Generations or the other
Either one, it's whichever one. I saw yours just arrived. I saw them right before we started the class.
I wasn't sure if the one is more.
Either way. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So the story here is the continuation of now. Achitophel was the one who gave that advice about having relations with the concubines, and now Achitophel is about to give the next stage, the next part of the story, the next advice of how to continue and how to really take over completely the kingdom. I did want to mention something that we touched upon yesterday, and that is that we were surprised that David HaMelech did not want to kill Shimi ben Gera. And David tried to give excuses why ultimately he concludes that I'm too busy with other matters. I have a rebellion going on. I'm not running to kill Shimi ben Gera. There is a commentary that has a little insight into this story, and he says that at this point, during the rebellion, it's possible that David did not have a title as being king. In other words, his kingship was in jeopardy at this point, and according to Jewish law, it's possible that he wasn't considered a king that has the right to go and kill if someone is rebellious. And it could be that that's why he was concerned and he didn't want to kill Shimi ben Gera, because either he considered himself that he's not sure that he's king, or that he was a suffix. Maybe he was unsure. He might have either been sure that he's not a king, or he might have just been unsure if he is a king, because he's not really sure what's happening. Did his son take over the kingship, or is it just jeopardized, or is it a no one being king at this point? Are they both considered kings? These are halachic questions that maybe were either unclear, or maybe it was clear that he felt he's not a king unless he gets the kingdom back. Yes, Ben. You're muted.
I thought that the only one that can cancel his kingship would be Hashem.
The question is did Hashem cancel it? The fact
Yes.
that Avshalom is successfully taking over Is that the sign from Hashem that it's canceled? At least possibility.
Are the prophets leaving him and going to Avshalom?
Well, it seems like there is no clear prophecy, at least at this point. We don't have clarity on that. Otherwise we would, it would be nice to know everything that's going to happen. If they would have known everything that's going to happen, they wouldn't have.
We know because we can read photo, but
right. I'm saying it seems like they probably did not know, because otherwise it wouldn't have been so dramatic.
Yeah.
So here we continue with Achitophel's advice. So we're in chapter 17. Oh, so the point that I wanted to make was that it could be a reason why David didn't kill Shimi ben Gera is because he might not have had the law, the right of doing a punishment of punishing someone for rebellion against the king if he's not necessarily the king at this point. So that's really the question that was a little up in the air, or he felt that he's not the king, or he wasn't sure. Was Hashem taking away the kingship? Maybe not from his family, but from him, partially from him. So that's really that is one of the ways of understanding it. Yes, Ben.
The second point is, I think it was only the people of Israel that were rebelling against him. The people from Judah did not. So he would still be a king of Judah.
And how do you know who sided with who? Where do you see that?
Because you see that he is always leaning to Judah, because he was from Judah.
True, he's from the tribe of Yehuda,
yeah.
But he doesn't seem to feel safe in Yehuda. He seems to be running away. He doesn't seem to feel like if he was fine.
No, he's running. I think he's running to Judah.
Well, he's running away from Yerushalayim. He doesn't want the whole Yerushalayim to be a bloodbath, chas v'shalom. But it's not so clear if the entire tribe. We know that when David was running away from Shaul, it's not like he had an easy ride, even amongst his family, even amongst his tribe. Right. So it's not clear if how much of the tribe was on his was protecting him or not. It's not spelled out. So here we have Achitophel. So we're chapter 17, the first verse. Achitophel told Avshalom, "Let me please choose 12,000 men, and I will arise and chase after David tonight." So he wants to go right away. They got to Yerushalayim. He gave his immoral advice, go live with the concubines. He did that. Now Achitophel comes up with the next thing. He says, "Okay, well, we gotta move. Let's go. Get me 12,000 soldiers. I'm gonna take them, and we'll go tonight, and we'll kill David. Let's get moving." Now, verse 2, I will come upon him while he is exhausted and weak-handed. I will frighten him so that all the people who are with him will flee, and I will strike down only the king. So he's got an interesting plan over here. He wants, number one, he wants 12,000 people. Why does he want 12,000? Any thoughts? Why would he want 12,000 people?
1,000 from each tribe?
That's the way commentaries explain that he either wants 1,000 from each tribe, the Radak says that, or he wants symbolically 1,000 from each tribe. So either he wants really physically 1,000 people from each tribe, or he wants to symbolize that he's got the entire Jewish people with him. So he's trying to make this to present himself as if he's got the entire Jewish people. He's representing the entire Jewish people. So he wants to have 12,000 people. Now, remember, this is Achitophel himself wants to run this, do this murder. He wants to do this little war himself without Avshalom. And he wants to do it tonight. He wants to do it right away. He wants to, and the reason, I'm sorry?
As a matter of fact, he tells Avshalom, you go to David's house. He doesn't want him to be busy with it.
So he says, he wants to cut. Why does he want to do it right away? So he wants him to be exhausted, wants David to be exhausted. Now, David had left his palace in a rush. He didn't really have much provisions with him. And he's trying to be somewhat, in hiding. So they're basically stuck. They're probably stranded, so to speak. And so Achitophel says this is a great opportunity for me to go kill David, and then he says that only the king will I strike down, and then I will return all the people to you. When everyone will have returned, the man whom you are seeking will be dead, and all the people will be at peace. So what's interesting is that why doesn't he want Avshalom to come? He wants to do it all himself, and he doesn't need Avshalom. Any thoughts why he doesn't want Avshalom? So this is another source that the Abarbanel uses, that Avshalom maybe wasn't ready to kill his father. And Achitophel has to present it as this is what needs to be done. And maybe Avshalom wasn't, necessarily ready in the same, on that page. Now, additionally, even if he was on that page to kill his father, what might happen in the last moment when he's holding the sword by his father? He might retract. He might change his mind. Achitophel doesn't want this. Achitophel wants that it's a done deal. He wants to make sure that David is all over, finished. There's no more. And so Achitophel feels that if he does it, he'll get the job done completely. And Avshalom, you never know what's going to happen in the last moment. So he's getting the 12,000 soldiers. These are representing supposedly the entire Jewish people, putting that idea into the people's minds that we have the entire Jewish people behind us. There is a concept here that David's prayers are very powerful. So Achitophel thinks if he sends very few soldiers, David's not going to even bother praying. He'll just get it done with himself. So he might not pray to God to be saved. If he comes with 50,000 soldiers, then David might pray to God. So Achitophel's advice is based on the fact that this is a small number. Maybe it will help prevent David from thinking he's got to pray. And he'll say, I'll just take them all on. In the meantime, he doesn't realize how maybe weak and how his soldiers might be weak and tired and fatigued, and they'll wipe him out, at least wipe out David. Now, what's interesting is that he says that everyone else will be at peace. Why is Achitophel telling this to Avshalom? that he's not going to kill anyone else. He's only killing David. So it could be that as much as Avshalom wants to be king, and he's ready to kill either ready to kill his father or not ready to kill his father, but killing his father may be a necessity. But the extra bloodshed, maybe Achitophel thinks that Avshalom would be concerned not to have extra cold, killing people and so to speak in cold blood. Maybe maybe he doesn't. Maybe he would be nervous about that. On the other hand, he could always say, "Well, they're rebelling against me. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I can kill them." So it's a little unclear why Avshalom, why Achitophel wants to tell. Why does he emphasize this? That he's not killing everyone. Commentaries don't seem to mention this. Why is he specifically saying that? It ends up that it's used against him, which we'll soon see how this line ends up being used against him. But there is a thought that at least came to my mind that maybe he's trying to convince Avshalom that this is like, we're gonna not only have all the people that seem to like you, but even the others that maybe were with David, they're gonna join you. They're gonna be joined. Like it's gonna be unbelievable. We're gonna have the entire Jewish people. You're gonna have much more people than you imagined would be. Everyone's gonna join you once they see that we killed David. They're gonna realize that God is with you, not with David. So he might be using this as a way of flattery, maybe that he's gonna be getting more. I'm just offering a thought. No one else seems to want to share their thoughts over here. I don't know, but that's just a thought that comes to my mind. Why he's emphasizing this, that everyone, all the people, will be at peace. Maybe he also thinks maybe it'll be pleasant for the followers to be more convinced that Avshalom is a righteous person. Maybe it'll help that he's a man of peace. Maybe it has something to do with the Beis Hamikdash being built by a man of peace. That maybe he has that in mind as well. Maybe there's such a thought as well, that he thinks, maybe you're going to be the one to build a temple. And this way, we don't have to kill everyone. We're just going to scare everyone. They'll run away and we'll kill David. He'll be left alone and we'll just kill David and you'll be a man of peace. So, a lot of these thoughts, a lot of ways of looking at it. I don't know if anyone sees any insights in there, or anyone has any thoughts. I don't know. Anyone want to share anything? Yes, David.
It says something like that in Me'am Lo'ez. It says when Achitophel assured Avshalom that he would bring back only the people supporting David, he had no intention of harming them. Only David's life would be taken. And indeed, once they returned, there would be no need to harm them, as they would no longer seek Avshalom's harm. On the contrary, the people would be in peace, and the nation would unite around its king.
So it sounds like he's emphasizing the fact that there will be real unity amongst the Jewish people.
Not only that, but David's supporters will now, since they weren't harmed, they will now honor the new king.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So that's that's basically the part of his plan. So Achitophel has this multifaceted plan of how he's all the different points that he's emphasizing here, and his main thing is basically that he wants to kill David. Now, this proposal was proper in the eyes of Avshalom and in the eyes of all the elders. Now, the eyes of all the elders of Israel. The elders, Rashi tells us, doesn't mean what we normally term elders. Zakein is the wise people. Here he mentions Ziknei Ashmoi, the guilty elders. In other words, we're just talking about, fraud, his people who are not exactly righteous, the elders that Avshalom is calling elders. Now, but the proposal was proper, and verse 5, surprisingly, Avshalom then said, "Call now Hushai the Archite, Hushai Ho'arki, also. Let us hear what he says." Now, why
no,
does
Avshalom said Kala Hushai.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Achitophel told him so and so, and then he asked for Hushai.
I'm sorry. I meant Avshalom. Oh, I don't know if I said that, but okay, I'm sorry. Avshalom then said, "Call now Hushai Ha'arki, and let us hear what he says." So for some reason, Avshalom wants to hear from Hushai. Why would he want to hear from Hushai if he has the greatest advisor give his advice, which he seems proper in his eyes? So why would he want to hear from Hushai? So again, it seems like Avshalom is nervous about killing his father. Again, we're seeing, according to this view, Avshalom seems to be nervous, not so comfortable about this idea. So that would be one reason why he's jumping to Hushai. Another reason why he's jumping to Hushai is that Hushai was with David when David was running away from Shaul. So Hushai has experience. We're trying to imagine, is David in a state where he can't really think straight when he's nervous? What happens when David is running for his life? Is he a good fighter then? Or is he weak? Is he in a state of exhaustion and he's demoralized and he is, unprepared for a war? Or is he the opposite? Does he have all his anger there in his arms and his fists are already ready to punch? What is David's style in this type of situation? He's been here before. And so therefore, that would be another reason why Avshalom wants to find out. Achitophel is basing his claim on the fact that David is exhausted and weak-handed. So the thing is, does Achitophel really know that? Or is he just assuming that's what normal person would be? And here we have an opportunity to ask Hushai, who has experience with David. Yes, Ben.
I wanted to say, when David was running from Shaul, he was never really afraid of Shaul. Even when he caught up with him, he just cuts a piece of his cloth. So I think that he was always ready to fight. He never ran away from a fight.
So you agree with Hushai,
right?
So that is interesting. I'm not sure if Hushai agreed with himself.
But to him, it was better than what Achitophel wants to do.
And the reason I say that is because Hushai he's coming up with a plan, which we'll soon see what his plan is, not because he believes in it, simply to save David's life. Yeah. So, don't rush to join Hushai's advice here. Maybe it's a little, it's a little unclear if Hushai himself believed in his claim. Let's see now what he said.
Anna. Yeah, I'm just very puzzled. Do you think that all of these actions were done because people believed that David was not a good leader, that he is tired and old and not really in his best condition, or they had only selfish reasons for getting rid of him.
Well, it's a little unclear how many people were, really joining Avshalom's view. We don't really have numbers here, but in the claim of Hushai is we got to get everyone, let's get everyone to join us in this war, which sounds like you might have to convince people to join our view. So it's not so clear what the general consensus. They didn't really do a survey like we do nowadays on the candidates, and but I think there was a lot of gray. There was a lot of question marks. There's red flags, and it was unclear, how a lot of people had personal things. Avshalom did try to make stories up of, the king's never going to listen to your side. You're not even from his tribe, and you don't even live, you're not related to him. He made up all these lines. If you come to me, I'll be a much better judge. So he was constantly making up propaganda and claims that were ultimately supposed to make people wean them from David. But we don't know how. Yeah, we don't know how far he succeeded. Yeah.
At the same time, to have 12,000 soldiers that represent practically every family, every tribe of the nation, it's supposed to be a very strong support. That he have an army so huge that he could choose, this condition that it's 1,000 people from each tribe really makes me very concerned, because it usually shows, it's like you take an excerpt from every part of the nation and you create an army. It means that people agree with your position. But David was, in my opinion, had so many positive signs of being a wonderful, wonderful leader, be a really gracious person. I understand that he has flaws like, everybody does, but not at least as much as we know. But it's a really odd sign that so many people were supporting this idea, unless it was just an order. It's just, you have to present 1,000 people and that's it. You have no other options.
Right. Good, interesting point that you make about the 12,000 soldiers, which you could even, you could even emphasize the point even more by saying Achitophel could have requested, or the understanding here is he could have requested more soldiers. He only chose 12,000 because he didn't want David to pray that Hashem should save him. And if it's only 12,000, it's no big deal. Which sounds like he could have brought 50,000 and he only chose 12,000. That means Avshalom did have maybe fixed 50,000 people plus, 50,000 soldiers, who knows how many families, which is an interesting point. The only problem with that is that when you do statistics, you have to know how many people were there at the time. There might have been 50 million people. So if you have 50,000 from 50 million, if you're going by numbers, you really need to know the total number of the count of the Jewish people at that time. And I don't know if we do have a number. There is a story where David counted the Jewish people in Melachim, but I don't know if it says a number there.
Okay.
I have to look it up and see if it says
50 million is a very wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just giving an example, but we would have to look that up, and it's an interesting point that you make. But I think we would need to see, if there is not any numbers.
And his idea of going and living with the concubines, is it just because of to prove that he is morally, he could be really defeated morally by, using his family without him fighting back, without him trying to defend, the women of his family? It's kind of, what was the point? Was it more morally to show that he is not capable to be a leader, or it was a tactical kind of step to find where he is to have some kind of inside information. What is the opinion of this?
So you're wondering why he
Yeah,
had relations with the 10 concubines. And
right.
keep in mind that Achitophel was his advisor who wants him to be king, is giving him the advice to do this. So he's the one who gave him that advice. So it's obviously something positive is supposed to come out from that. So the understanding was that we mentioned yesterday was basically that you have to do something that there is no going back. He had to do an act that you can't go back, because if, let me just mute 1 second. Because if you don't do something that will be an act that forces you to never retract, then people will never join you completely, because they'll be nervous that in the end you're going to make peace, and they will be the ones who will suffer. Okay. So the only way that they'll be convinced to stay to join you is if the leader does an act that there's no going back. And if he does that act, then it'll be a done deal, and the people will be confident that they can join you, and they won't have a repercussion of you maybe making peace. Here, there's no peace afterwards. When you have relations with the concubines of the king, there's no peace afterwards. So that's yeah. Thank you. Sure. Mordechai.
Wasn't there another battle in which it was 1,000 per tribe that were selected based upon the ones who weren't drinking water by being on their knees? In other words, it was 1,000 that were like perfect, and not suspected of idol worship or whatever.
So I think it was much less. It's in the book of Shoftim. It's earlier. So, but in any event, it is an interesting point that about the question of how many Jews there were at this point. We'll have to see if there's any source where it mentions it. I'd like to give over the mic to Rabbi Wernick. Zygazon to everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.